Alright, so this is algebra basics. So these are like the key things to know before you move on to learn some harder things. So signs in maths are obviously really important, and they're still important in algebra. So I'm sure you'll know this, but just to recap, when you have, what haven't I got there? Minus plus. So when it's plus and minus together, you get a minus. Two pluses are a plus, and a minus sign and a minus sign is a plus. Minus and a plus is a minus. So if you had minus 3 times 2, there's a minus there, obviously invisible little plus, minus and a plus, minus. So you could either just write the sign there and then just concentrate on the numbers. So 3 times 2 is 6. Just write it out like that. Two minus signs are positive. So 3 times 2 is again 6. No need to write the positive sign. And then an invisible plus sign and minus is a minus. So that is minus 6. If you then make that into algebra, it's exactly the same thing. There's no need to overcomplicate it. Got two minuses, that's a plus. So 8x, both positive. 3 times 3 is 9, and the y is part of all that. Sometimes it's weird when things are written like this, but it's exactly the same. It's still 2 minuses make a plus. All that means is 5 minus 2, and that's 7. Some people like to remind themselves that like those two dashes make up a plus sign, but however you want to remember it. And then when you got more complicated things, you just want to take each bit step by step. So the x has an invisible plus in front of it, so we just write that down as an x. The y has a plus and a minus in front of it, so that goes to minus. And then the z has 2 minuses in front of it, so that turns into a plus. So you've always just got to be concerned with the ones before. If you just keep doing that, you'll stay consistent. Another thing to mention here is when you have a squared of something, if you have a minus number, or if you have a minus number squared, it goes positive. But if you have a minus number cubed, it stays negative. And that's because you go minus 3 times minus 3 times minus 3, and the first minus makes it positive, and then the second minus makes it negative again. Whereas when you square it, first one's negative, and then the second 3 makes it positive. And that's exactly the same with algebra. So if you were to replace that with an x, it would stay the same. It would be the same thing. So if it was minus x squared, if it was minus x cubed. So keep that in mind. That is a way that they can catch you out. And then just moving on, these are some different ways you'll see things written, and you just want to be able to know exactly what they mean, so you don't want to mess things up later on. So that is the same as this if you were to write out longhand, but in maths people just write like that. It's quicker, simpler, neater. In this case, the squared only affects the things it's attached to, and it's only attached to the n. So it would be g times n times n. And now because there's brackets, this squared is affecting both things. So you can write it out as gn times gn, And because they're together, you can just write it out as G times G times N times N. And when I say together, I actually mean separate, because there's obviously all those mini invisible signs, mini multiplication signs in between those. Here, it's the same thing. And because it's a minus, it does affect it. So what we're going to do is just keep everything in the brackets here, so we don't have to worry about it. So we'll worry about things in the bracket first. So Q minus R multiplied by Q minus R multiplied by Q minus R is that all taken care of. And the P is multiplying everything here. So we can just write that P here and multiply it there. In exam questions, homework, whatever, they're always going to be talking about terms, group the terms, whatever. And this is a term, this is the term, that's the term, that's the term, and that's the number term. And it's going to help you group things up and simplify them. So this term and this term are the same, and so is this one and this one. So what you can do is group them, and as before, you just focus on the sign on the left of the number that you're looking at. So we're going to focus on the x's first. It's plus there, that means it's going to stay positive, 10x. Negative there, plus 3. It's going to stay, well, you in this case you just look at them as numbers, so minus 6 plus 3, still minus 3. And then in the last case, these things are going to help, and you only can add things, subtract things that are the same. So this y and this y, we've got the same term, so we can focus on them. Invisible plus right there. So that would be minus 2y. The x's have no like terms, although it's here, it's multiplied by the y, so you've got to leave that alone and pretend it's something completely different, because it is. So you just add the 2x, and then you just do this one by itself as well. This might not seem like too complicated, but just understanding these, or just making sure you've got them nailed so you don't make mistakes later on, is really important. And then signs are something that trip everyone up, probably even your maths teacher. So it's always good to just focus on your signs, and if you ever have extra time or you want to double check your work, always check the signs, because I'm sure that's where you'll be losing lots of marks. Hope that was of some help, guys. Till next time.